Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how you doing? Bit of a different background today. Sorry that I'm not in my usual place that I've been for the past two videos anyway. We've got Gabby from Toy Story 4 just hanging out in the background and a few chipmunks. Oh my god, she fell. Come back. I know it's February guys, but every year for the past like 4 or 5 years I've been doing YouTube properly and dedicatedly. I've been doing this video at the start of every new year where I talk about my top 5 musicals that I saw the previous year. And I know, like I said, January is over. I had a very busy January. My tattoos got infected, so I was like, you know, dealing with that. It was just, January is normally a very slow month, okay? I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. But I still wanted to make this video because I feel like I saw some great musicals last year and I want to talk about them and let you know what my top 5 were. I have actually, obviously, when I was going through the list of new musicals that I saw in 2019, I did notice that I didn't see quite as many as I normally do. So I saw, I think, around maybe 8 or 9 new musicals, and normally I see at least 10 or sometimes closer to like 15 or 20 new musicals. So that meant that it was easier for me to, you know, narrow them down to my top 5 because I hadn't seen as many new shows. I feel like the second half of last year, which is coincidentally when my YouTube channel got hacked, I just went on a very downhill spiral of like not wanting to do anything really apart from be sad about my life. But anyway, this year, I mean, I've already seen a new show and we're only in February and I'm hoping to continue seeing a lot of new shows. There's a lot of new musicals coming to London this year, so I'm excited about those. But before we talk about anything happening in 2020, let's go into my top 5 musicals of 2019. I do have my phone here, but that's just because I've got the list on here, so I'm not being rude guys. You're my main attention right now. I just have to go through the list, okay? So my number 5 favourite musical of 2019 was Waitress. I saw Waitress back in April of 2019 and I didn't think I'd like it much, to be honest. Like, I went because I was curious. I'd heard mixed reviews and I really ended up loving it a lot more than I thought I would. I feel like before I'd gone to see it, I just had a preconceived idea about what the show would be like. I thought, obviously, because they advertise it as like, you know, being a waitress and like pies and like, basically I just felt like, you know, because before I saw the show I thought the story was going to be very meh and there wasn't going to be much substance to it, and I was very pleasantly surprised when I went to see the show. I don't want to give anything away in case you haven't seen the show, but towards the end of the show especially, there were some very emotional moments. I nearly cried watching it, and I really didn't expect that. The songs are really good in Waitress. The story, like I said, even though it does appear to be simple, you know, it's about someone who works and, you know, as a waitress and meets someone. Like, it's a very simple story when you think about it, but weirdly I feel like that's the beauty of it. Like, when I saw the show I realized that that's what actually makes it so nice, because it's quite relatable and because it's not just a basic story, like there is more to it. And the main character, which when I saw was played by Catherine McPhee, she played her so fantastically. I really felt for her. I just wanted to be her friend. I wanted her to succeed. And yeah, like I said, there was a moment towards the end of the show that's very emotional. There was a song that she sang that really touched my heart, and yeah, I really liked it. I wouldn't say I loved the show, but I liked it enough to put it in my top 5, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again, especially now because at the moment we've got Sarah Bareilles and Gavin Creel like both in the show, and it's only a limited amount of time that they're going to be in it, and I really want to try and go before they leave. I mean, Sarah Bareilles, like the writer of the music, is actually starring in the show right now in London. Can you believe it? And Gavin Creel, who I've seen in quite a few shows before. I saw him in Book of Mormon, I saw him in Hair. He's fantastic. So I would like to go back before they leave. Number 4 on my favourite musicals of 2019 is Mean Girls. Yeah, another one that I definitely didn't think I'd put in this list. I saw Mean Girls when I was in New York with my friend Rakaya, again around April time of last year, and I've never been the biggest fan of the movie Mean Girls. I saw it, of course, like any other teenager who was born in the 90s. Yeah, when it first came out I did see it quite a few times, but I was never like one of those massive Mean Girls fans. I was never obsessed with it. I just thought it was like a fun film, so I didn't really expect to love the musical as much as I did. And I don't know, I feel like it's one of those musicals again that I really want to see again, because I did love it a lot when I saw it, but it was also the first show that we saw on that trip. So we saw a few shows on that short New York trip that we were on, and we saw it on our first night in New York, so I think I was just very excited and hyped, and it was like I hadn't been to New York in a few years, and so I don't know if all of that might have kind of played a part in me loving the show so much, but I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really funny. I loved the songs in it. I loved the comedy in it. I thought the cast was fantastic. Don't get me wrong, I don't really remember many of the songs now that it's been about a year, so maybe it wasn't the best score, but at the time whilst I was watching it, I thought it was so much fun. Like, I was just having the best time and I didn't want it to end, and I think sometimes you need a musical like that, and I was all for it. My number 3 and number 2 are very close to each other, and I've been going back and forth between them so many times, but at number 3 of my favourite musicals of 2019, I've put Fiddler on the Roof. Now, I saw Fiddler on the Roof at the start of 2019. I think it was in January actually, with my friend Sam. It was at the Menier Chocolate Factory, and that's where we saw it. Then it got transferred later on to a West End theatre, I think at the Playhouse, but yeah, we saw it in the original venue at the Menier. Menier is one of my favourite theatres in London, and every show I've seen there has been really special in some way. But yeah, Fiddler on the Roof is just a special musical to me. So this was actually my second time seeing Fiddler on the Roof, but of course it was a completely new production, like a very new thing. I saw Fiddler on the Roof for the first time years ago, like 10 years ago on tour, and even though it was a very basic production, the one that I saw years ago, I remember really liking it. So when it was announced that Fiddler on the Roof was coming as a new production with Judy Kuhn, who I absolutely adore, because if you don't know, she's the voice of Pocahontas, like Colours of the Wind. She sang it, I met her, I saw her in this show. She's phenomenal. I was very excited basically about Fiddler on the Roof because I love it. It's probably one of my favorite like traditional musicals, like old school musicals. I love the songs in it, I love the vibe of it, I love the feel of it, I love that it's all about traditions and families, and the production at the Menier Chocolate Factory, especially because of the way it was set up and how small the theatre is, I mean we felt so engrossed in the show. I felt like I was a part of it. We were on the front row, and just because of the vibe of the show and the musical, honestly, like there were scenes in there that was just like a wedding basically. There's like a full-on Jewish wedding going on, and I felt, and my friend Sam as well, we both felt like we were a part of it. I was smiling so much throughout that show. And if you don't know, Fiddler on the Roof is a pretty long musical. I think it's about 3 hours. The production that we saw at the Menier anyway was very close to 3 hours long, so quite long, and yet it didn't feel long at all. I was smiling throughout it, I was sad throughout it, you know, there are some emotional moments, of course. The cast was phenomenal. I was just happy to see Judy Kuhn like so close to me. Like I said, the songs bring me so much joy. I love Fiddler on the Roof. Like, it's such a great show. If I could, I would have gone and seen it again, but I think when it went to the Playhouse, I kind of didn't want to ruin the experience of seeing it at the Menier, because it had been such a beautiful intimate venue, and I felt like if I see it again in another theatre, it just might not be the same. And honestly, the night that I saw it at the Menier Chocolate Factory is one of my highlights of 2019. It was such a good show. Number 2, listen, like, this is a show that again I did not think I'd be putting on my list, especially so high up. And like I said, I did keep going back and forth between number 2 and my number 3, which was Fiddler, because I loved Fiddler on the Roof so much. But I've decided to have my number 2 favourite musical of 2019 be Frozen the musical. I was really lucky to see this musical in New York again on my trip to New York back in April of last year. Was very excited because, you know, who wouldn't be? I love Disney, I love musicals, so I was excited to see what, you know, Disney has done with Frozen. I had seen a small production of Frozen, I guess, in Disneyland California a few years ago, because if you don't know, in California Adventure in Disneyland in Anaheim, they have like a 45-minute long version of Frozen as a stage show, and it's really well done. Like, when I saw it back in 2016, I enjoyed it. So I feel like I thought it was gonna be something similar to that, and I would have been happy with that, because like I said, I thought the California version in Disneyland was really good. It was much better. Like, if you think the California version is great, the Broadway production is like even better. It's such a good production. The cast was fantastic. Casey Levy, I'm so glad I got to see her as Elsa. Her voice is just beautiful. I've seen her in so many things over the years. I'm very lucky. I saw her in Ghost when it first opened in London, and to see her on Broadway was just such a treat. The costumes, phenomenal. The production, just like, it's a visual treat, guys. It's a visual treat. I don't even need to talk about the music, because we all know the songs from Frozen. They're fantastic. We love them. When Elsa sings Let It Go and has that little, you know, costume magical scene change moment, it was done so amazingly. Like, I don't understand. Both me and my friend Rikai who were watching, we like literally looked at each other and were like, wow. Like, I literally physically said wow, and I don't normally do that. I'm very composed when I'm at shows, because I was so amazed at how well they'd done it. It literally felt like magic, and the theatre that we saw it at was just really cool as well. The snow, it was just so great, and I cannot wait for it to come to London. Obviously it is coming to London. Tickets went on sale for it like literally yesterday. I will be there, I can guarantee you, at the Drury Lane Theatre on one of the very first previews to see it here in London, and I'm really looking forward to it. And finally, number 1, my favourite musical, my top favourite musical of 2019 2019. Can we have a drum roll, please? And Juliet. And Juliet the musical has taken my #1 spot for favourite musicals of last year. And who would have thought it? Like, I definitely didn't. I have to be honest, I didn't really even know much about And Juliet until I got an invitation to go and see like a rehearsal of it, one of the last dress rehearsals of it. I'm very lucky because I do YouTube and like social media and Instagram and stuff. Sometimes I get invited to things, and I'd heard of And Juliet and I'd seen posters about it, but it wasn't something that like intrigued me too much. But obviously when I got invited, I was like, might as well, I'm free that day, let's go and have a look and see what it's about. And it was lovely. We got to go backstage and learn about like what's going on behind the scenes and everything, and we also got to see like the first 20 minutes of one of the last dress rehearsals, and I fell in love with the musical there and then. Like, it was a dress rehearsal, we only got to see 20 minutes of it. Like, it was only like me and a few other social media people in an empty theatre and the cast on stage, and I was like, this is amazing. And I was really sad that we only got to see 20 minutes of it and then we had to go and do other things, but I ended up going to see the full show like not long after, and then I went back like literally 3 days after, and I'm gonna go back soon again because I feel like my brother's gonna love the show, so I need to take him. It is such a fun show, guys, and I know that if you haven't seen it, you might find like it weird that I'm saying this, because on paper it's not something that you would think would work. I get it, because look, it's a story, it's a musical about Juliet, and if you don't know who Juliet's meant to be, Juliet from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, that's basically the character. And it's got pop songs, like a variety of amazing pop songs written over the years from the 90s, 2000s, from different artists, a lot of Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, you know, a lot of my childhood. It's a jukebox musical technically, and a lot of people like to stay away from those, but I promise you this is not like any other jukebox musical. You will have a great time in this show. Like, it's so much fun. The cast is phenomenal. There is not a weak link in the cast. The show is funny, it's clever, the music is so good. Like, obviously if you're not into pop songs or pop music, then don't go and see it, but I feel like the majority of us in this world do enjoy a bit of pop songs and pop music, even if we might not want to admit it. For me, like, I'm a big fan of the Backstreet Boys. I've seen them in concert so many times. I literally grew up with them. I used to, like, you know, do the choreography to their songs with my brother as a child all the time. So to be able to go to a musical in London and just like hear Backstreet Boys songs live, sung by phenomenal performers, like West End performers that I love and have seen in other shows before, like, it's amazing. It brings so much joy for me. Like, it makes me so happy. I feel like it's one of those shows that you will be just guaranteed to smile and laugh, and it's very forward thinking as well. It makes you, you know, it's basically an open-minded show. Like, there's messages in it as well. It's not just a simple, even though the story is quite simple, I like how inclusive it is, and it touches on quite a few important topics and subjects that you might not think would be talked about or mentioned or dealt with in a musical like that. But I love it, and I cannot wait to go and see it again, and I'm going to take a lot of my friends to see it. Like, I've been literally raving about it to anyone that I can, so if you're one of my friends that I've been raving about And Juliet too for the past few months, I'm really sorry. But there you have it, guys. That is my top 5 list of my favourite musicals, favourite new musicals, or favourite musicals I saw for the first time in 2019. There were definitely a couple of musicals that opened up in London towards the end of last year, which I didn't manage to see, and I still haven't. So if you're wondering why they weren't included, that might be why, because I haven't seen them yet. So they'll probably be included in next year's list that I do of this video if I end up loving them. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with my list? What were your favourite musicals that you saw last year? And are there any particular musicals that you're excited to be coming to either London or New York, Broadway, or anywhere in the world this year in 2020? Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Subscribe for more videos similar to this and Disney content, of course. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!